Getting ready for the show. The classrooms are empty, but we have full action stations online. 2 minutes, and we'll be talking about the number one thing you gotta have when it comes to online events. What is that number one? We could be taking bets. Slightly obvious. Pop a comment in, let me know you're here. Whether you're a master chef, a junior chef, or just hanging out in the kitchen, when you're streaming, there's stuff you've got to know. Alrighty. The final minute countdown. I hope you're ready. Oh, Dean's back. We're getting number one. Oh, the final countdown. And it's happening. Yes, welcome to the Get Events online show. I am your host, Warwick Merry. Absolute pleasure to be here. Triple certification there, a double certified virtual presenter and a certified speaking professional. And you're probably thinking to yourself, I don't really care. Fair call too, because your focus is on your event. So today what I wanted to cover is, what's the number one thing that you've got to get right for your event? By the way, I'm happy to take any questions that people have got when it comes to online events, anything that you want. So just head over to the website, send me a message, let me know what it is that you want to know more about when it comes to getting online events. Thank you so much for your patience. Last week had a bit of an issue. Don't know what happened, but we were all over the place like a mad woman's murd. But this week we're not. We're focused, we're on track, and I've got the technology sorted, I hope. So what is that number one thing? Well, let me just say this. You've got to get it right, because if you get it wrong, the glue that holds everything together for your online event just falls to the side. So many people, there are so many online events now, and so many people will just throw together a webinar or throw together a session, and there's one thing that you've got to have, and that is the glue that holds it all together. If you don't get it right, you're going to lose the attention of your sponsors, you'll lose the attention of your delegates, you'll lose... If you don't, well, however well this event goes, it dictates the success of your next event. So you want to get it right. So naturally for me as an online event host, I'm going to be supporting this thing, because the number one thing is, of course, you've got to have a good host. Now, it might just be a simple session that you've got internally for your meeting. And so you might just be the manager of that department that is the host of that meeting. I think we've all been to those meetings with these dead air and silence. That's not what you're after. So you need someone who's actually got an agenda, running to the agenda, keeps things moving. Because let's face it, it is just so dull if it's not happening. For the bigger events, you've got to have someone who can just turn on the fly. So when the connection drops out, maybe you've got a guest speaker who's not there, it just drops out, they've got to be able to jump in, take over, and do something. They've got to be able to keep the engagement and keep people going. So you've got to have a host that knows what they're doing. And there's plenty of good ones out there. Naturally, I'm going to suggest my good self. But there's plenty of good ones out there, and you want to make sure they understand your approach, your philosophy, and what it is that you're trying to achieve. As Dean has rightly said, you want to make sure that the whole member of the family, you're getting good results for all of them. Because, you know, when it comes to an event, there really are three customers. You've got the person who's putting it on. you've got the conference organizer who's organising it, and then you've also got the delegates. All three of those have to be happy. And you've also got a fourth one, which are your sponsors. So if you do have sponsors involved, you've got to make sure they're getting a return on their investment. Otherwise, they'll be like, well, why would we do it again? So the ongoing success of your events is really important as to how it all sticks together. It's been said that your next event is only as good as your past one, because I've seen too many people who have tried to transition from face-to-face to hybrid and online and just not get the vibe that they're after. So here's some of the things that you need to do when you're looking for someone who is a host. You need to understand, do they have a bit of artistic flair? Now, I'm not saying that they can't be solid business people with business knowledge. They can be great. There's no doubt about it. But getting the funny guy from accounts is probably not your best approach. I've seen it happen so many times. Another option is the CEO. Let's face it, the CEO, while she might be the great figurehead for the company, she needs to be schmoozing. So she needs to be available to have chats with people online, or to be observing who's watching and look at what are some, and taking notes so that she knows who to connect to afterwards. So you've got to let the CEO be the CEO. It's a different skill set. Sometimes you might have a comedian. Comedians can be great MCs, but they have to understand it's more than just being a funny person. It's not about them. And I think that really is the secret to being an online host, is it's not about you. You almost want to be invisible. It's a really delicate line. You have to be presentable in terms of you've got to be engaging, you've got to be entertaining, but it can't all be about you. You've got to be willing to share that limelight with the delegates, with the sponsors, with the clients, with the industry. I've seen too many celebrity MCs or celebrity hosts forget that it's not about them, and all of a sudden it becomes sort of a self-love fest. So it really does really need to engender that approach of it's all about us, and it is all about the family of that event, of what's going on. And it's also, you want someone who has a little bit of industry knowledge. Now, they don't have to be super experts, but they need to be able to understand the language. I think one of the biggest compliments that I've received, and I've had a chat to other event hosts, and they say the same thing, is when someone comes up to them afterwards, or they send their communication afterwards and says, oh, we thought you worked for us. We thought you were part of the team. Because we're using that language, we're joking around with the people who are there. So it really is important that you have that depth of understanding that's going on. You don't need to be detailed, but you need to enough so that you are credible, because it has to be that credibility so people can relate to and will take what you say for granted. And you have to be part theatrical as well. And even more so, I think, online than on stage, because we are all trapped and behind our computers. As you're watching me now, you're sitting behind your desk or on your phone or wherever you are, and all you've got is this screen. And so there's got to be the energy in the face. There's got to be a bit of fluctuation in the voice. There's got to be a bit of something that keeps you engaged. There has to be that additional element of artistic charisma, so to speak. That doesn't mean that you can't be a host if you don't have that. But if you're looking for a good host, if you're looking for a host that really adds value, that's the kind of thing that you really want to look for. It's really funny. Some speaker friends of mine who would come to me for advice, they've been asked to be the speaker and why not host it as well. And they're like, yeah, I can do that. And they ask for a bit of advice, and afterwards they're like, I am never doing that again. It's hard. And I think it's hard because it's not, you've got to be prepared for anything. And like last week, for whatever reason, and I still don't know why, the stream just went and died halfway through. Not even halfway through, I was just getting warmed up. So I was able to just jump back on in a different way, and was only just streamed out onto Facebook, but you're able to recover from it. So you've got to have that flexibility. So here's the thing. When you're looking for your next event, you've got to look at, how important is it to me to have a solid host? Now, it might be your event and you might be willing to host it, which is fantastic, but you've got to apply some of these techniques and go a little bit beyond your normal. If you're looking for something a bit larger, it is so worthwhile getting a host involved. And I know for myself with my clients, I'm always happy to do little promo videos beforehand and afterwards, just to really support that. At the moment, I've got some events coming up, and I'm putting posts on LinkedIn sharing that information out there. So your host really can help you leverage their connections as well. It really is a very powerful thing to do. And you've got to make sure that if your event is significantly large and you've got audio visual crews doing multiple sites and streaming everything and connecting it all together, you've got to make sure that there's plenty of technical rehearsals to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row and all your backups ready just in case. I think with technology, it's an amazing concept and we can do so much with it, but there's always the opportunity for more errors the more technology we include. So you've got to make sure you've got your backup. So the number one thing that you've got to have for your next online event is the right host. So who's right for you? As I said, I'd be delighted to help if I can. So, get in touch. Here's my details. If you have any questions about online events, get in touch with me as well. So that's it for the live stream today. I'm going to be back again at 11 a.m. next Thursday, 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I would love for you to, if this has been of value to you, share it with your friends. The repeat is on Facebook and also on YouTube, so share that link out there. It's been a delight and a joy having you here. So this is Warwick Merry for the Get Events Online Show. I thank you for your company, and I look forward to having it again next time.